My mother did witchcraft, and this is how I know that God is real. My name is Aja Smith. I'm 26 years old, and I'm from Indiana, and my mother did witchcraft. She was a witch. So some of you may or may not know, is I've talked about that I was in foster care. My mom got pregnant with me when she was 15 years old, and then had me at 16 years old. Then 2 years later, had my brother at 18 years old, and we were immediately put into foster care. All of this plays a part into the story. So my dad and my mom both came from families that didn't have any money, poverty, drugs, addiction. That was a very common thing. And there were also other witches apparent witches in our family. I would say my entire life and my family's life have been ridden by things that are spiritually dark, like poverty, like abuse, like drug addiction, like alcohol addiction, you name it, mental health problems. That has been a common thing on both sides of my family for a long time. And I would consider anybody that's born into situations like that, you're born into an immediate situation of spiritual warfare and darkness. And this is why generational trauma and generational curses continue to happen in today's world. So nonetheless, even though I was put into foster care, that darkness from my family continued to follow me. As I got older, my mother became a witch. So my mom would do spells on people. She would have oils. And you don't think that people are out here doing this. 100% people are putting spells on you. They're putting hexes on you. People talking poorly about you. This is something that happens. I saw my mom do it. She has an entire library on how to do magic. So one day I was in high school and I went to my mom's house. She lived out in the middle of nowhere in the country in Indiana, and it was honestly kind of scary and eerie. And I went to her house. I remember it was the dead of winter and she didn't have any heat at her house at all. It was freezing. And I go up into her spell room, where again, there's oils, there's herbs, there's books, there's all kinds of things up in this room. I know a lot of the spiritual community will sit here and say these things aren't harmless, it's energy. No, this stuff, it's what people don't understand about spiritual things is that there is always a contract. There's always a payment of something. That's why Jesus died on the cross, because he was paying something. So when you are doing an energetic exchange, a spell, it's in exchange for something else. It's not just you do something and nothing happens. You do a love spell and nothing happens. You hex something and nothing happens. That's not how this works. And so when you do spell work, you have demons around you and different things in the spiritual realm you're not seeing that does this work for you, that makes sure that these things can happen. So it's the dead of winter at my mother's house, and she's upstairs doing spell work. I go into the room, and I'm not kidding you. You always hear this in horror movies. The room is filled with flies. It is the middle of winter. She didn't have any plants in this room. And the thing is that I don't think that my mother ever thought that she was doing something that was evil. A lot of people, or a lot of witches, don't think that what they're doing is evil, but there is power and there's energy and there's darkness and all involved in order to get this power, in order to make things happen. And I remember my mother telling me that she did a spell on one of her ex-boyfriends, and then the next week, the guy was paralyzed in a car accident and neck brace, whatever, down. On the flip side, my mom has always had a horrible life and horrible things happen to her. And she doesn't think that the witchcraft has anything to do with it, or that demons are following her. This is why Jesus dying on the cross is so important, because he made a payment for us, a spiritual payment, and that's why he's my savior. What a lot of people do not understand is that if you're not actively making decisions that align with what God has intended, you are entering a contract with something that is not what God intended, spiritually speaking. So anyways, a lot of people ask, why do bad things happen? Because you're playing with the devil, you're playing with evil energy, you're playing with demons that are surrounded in the spiritual realm. And so nonetheless, this is just one of the reasons why I've made it back to God, but why that I know that God is real. Because I was shown by all of the evil. Let me know what questions you have. I have so many more stories, and I don't even know if I did a good job of explaining this.